Controversy, scandal, mayhem, tragedy. What do I say? Controversy. Hey, yay, hey, yay. We are all gathered here to discuss a dispute of epic proportions. Zuffa Boxing, TKO, SELA, and Sir Frank Warren. Man, oh man, when I tell you I have a show for you, you gotta believe me, 'cause I'm about to get unpacked. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I got some breaking news, a little bit shocking to you, not to me, because I've been in this game, and I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. At the center of it, Frank Warren, Queensberry Promotions, Turki Alalshikh, SELA, so basically the Saudis, TKO, Dana White, Zuffa. In this video, I'm going to let you know what's going on, and I don't want to waste any of your time. Come in, grab a seat, class is in session. Boom. Frank Warren embroiled in a potential $1 million, $1 billion, $1 billion, right? We talking Dr. Evil numbers. $1 billion legal dispute with Saudi Arabia's SELA, TKO, and Zuffa Boxing. Boom. You never know. That paper is 95% bull, but it's entertaining. And you won't let me read it. Now you entertain me with your bull. Huh? And not like I put it to your head, huh? $1 billion. I got to get my headset. We got to talk about it. Boxing is a trip. All right? From the top.
A $1 billion battle over the future of boxing is brewing, with a newly formed Zuffa at the center of it. British promoter Frank Warren is preparing to pursue legal action amid a dispute over his alleged exclusion from Zuffa Boxing, which is a partnership formed this past year between Saudi Arabia's SELA and TKO Group, the parent company of the UFC and WWE. Advertisement. Saudi fight financier Turki Alalshikh, UFC CEO Dana White and the parent company of the UFC and WWE. Advertisement. Saudi fight financier Turki Alalshikh, UFC CEO Dana White and WWE President Nick Khan are at the forefront of Zuffa Boxing's efforts. The promotional company has secured a reported $500 million, 5-year media rights deal with Paramount, and has used that to sign Conor Benn and Jai Opetaia, with a host of boxing's top stars expected to follow. Uncrowned understands that an agreement between Zuffa and UK broadcast giants a $1 billion battle over the future of boxing. According to The Telegraph, Warren's Queensberry is claiming that SELA and TKO breached separate contracts they had signed with him and formed Zuffa Boxing without his involvement. TKO aims to take over the sport of boxing with Zuffa and gain a virtual monopoly, similar to its market share in MMA and professional wrestling. Queensberry says in September 2023, it signed an exclusive agreement with SELA to provide boxing services, which saw the company give SELA access to Queensberry's expertise as the pair looked to stage big-time fights. They worked together for the first time for the Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou bout in October 2023. Queensberry also claims it signed a contract with TKO, where TKO was allowed access to Queensberry's contract with SELA by its online data.
So, right here, let me tell you what's going on. They did the Tyson Fury Ngannou fight. Tyson Fury really should have lost that fight. They did that fight together, right? And everything was fine and dandy. SELA, Frank Warren working together. Queensberry, also Frank Warren's company, UK boxing outfit. They are claiming that they signed a contract with TKO where TKO was allowed to access their contract info with SELA via its online data. Stay tuned to the end of the video. Things are starting to heat up. So with this type of information, like if you have access to somebody's records, then you're able to kind of reverse engineer, if you will, where if I have access to your books, your records, I know your whole operation. I know your whole outfit. I know how you get down or lay down, right? So armed with that type of data, you become very dangerous because now you can look at the legalese, you can get your lawyers, your attorneys, see what type of contracts Tyson Fury and these various fighters that you have are under, and then try to sink your claws. Oh, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's keep going.
Queensberry also claims it signed a contract with TKO, where TKO was allowed access to Queensberry's contract with SELA by its online data. It is being argued that TKO and SELA, with the benefit of privileged information, went behind Queensberry's back to ink a 5-year deal with each other, and in the process breached their individual agreements with the British promoter. Queensberry is reportedly seeking $1 billion for lost income that it argues the company would have made had its contracts been honored. Warren plans to take his case to the High Court if no resolution is reached. Queensberry has reportedly sent letters before action to SELA and TKO, detailing its intention to sue for breach of contract. Queensberry was the key player in Saudi Arabian boxing from September 2023 until this past summer. Rumors swirled in the boxing industry that a fallout between Queensberry and Alalshikh had displaced them from their position, with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom jumping up the ladder. Although its future in Saudi Arabian boxing could also be doomed, with Alalshikh helping to take one of Matchroom's biggest stars, Ben, over to Zuffa in recent days.
God dang, Joe Rogan. Boy, I tell you, what did Wesley Snipes say in Demolition Man? I swear, I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached. I'll keep that in mind. He didn't know how to use the 3 seashells, right? Y'all don't know how to use the 3 seashells. Bam. The article will be in the description. Let's talk about it. So, Queensberry is alleging, and before I get any deeper and really unpack, if you guys like what I'm doing for boxing, let the algorithm know. Takes you a few moments. My link me is in the description. Multiple ways to support the channel so you guys can get this type. We are currently in the process of upping the quality and all of the equipment. You can be a part of Ego's Army and definitely support that. You see what you get. So, Queensberry Promotions is suing pretty much SELA, TKO, Turki Alalshikh, for upwards of $1 billion. A lot of lawsuits going on in the sport of boxing. And again, if you follow my movement, you'll be well informed of all of them because there's nobody doing it like me. I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. And I'm bringing you right there close to the action with reliable information. This is not clickbait. I don't have to trick you by putting some crazy title. What you see is what you get. What I'm talking about in the title is really what's happening in real life. So Floyd Mayweather suing Showtime, right? Espinoza, he won over $300 million. Currently going on, pending litigation. You got Oscar De La Hoya being sued by Virgil Ortiz, trying to get out of his contract, saying it's a breach of contract. You have Oscar De La Hoya countersuing Team Virgil Ortiz. That's already 3. You have people suing Floyd Mayweather. Again, I've made videos about all of these suits. People suing Floyd Mayweather, a jeweler, a Manhattan luxury like real estate owner said Floyd is back on the rent. Then magically Mayweather Pacquiao Part 2 on Netflix gets announced. I've made videos about that. And now enter the fray. And I might have missed some of the lawsuits. It's like you ain't even trying to compare body counts. Bow. What movie is that from? You ain't even trying to compare body counts. Can I eat the pickle? Huh? So now in this long list of lawsuits, add Frank Warren. Now there's been rumblings that Frank Warren and Turkey something had happened, and now it is coming to pass. Now the chickens have come home to roost, and Queensberry is trying to get money that they're saying had they not been backdoored, and I'm just using slang and paraphrasing because we already went through the actual article. They're saying they got backdoored. SELA had access to their contracts and personal data, thinking the partnership was cool, only to, in the end, be betrayed. This is what they're alleging, to be betrayed. And all of a sudden, TKO gets announced, and they're like, yo, we got TKO Boxing. Dana White's ahead of it. Where does Frank Warren fit into that? Where does Eddie Hearn fit into that? And once again, your boy Ego has been on point, delivering you. I try to tell you this was going to be problematic. Hold on, let me take this off. Hold on, let me get in my bag. Let me get in my zone. I'll be one taking my like Jay-Z. I'll be like Hove with these videos. I don't need no teleprompter. Bow, look, I'm right here with it. I don't have no teleprompter. I don't have no cameraman. I do everything when it comes to my channel, from the thumbnail, from the rooter to the tutor, the titles and everything. And most importantly, because yeah, I'm giving y'all high quality audio, high quality video. I get it. But I'm telling you information when it's not popular that later comes into play and the world gets to see it. So all I want, respect the channel, tell me I'm the best, leave me a comment, and pay your homage. That's where everybody, my DNA is all through this boxing game. Everyone get their talking points from Boxingego. I try to warn you guys of this. Remember who said, and I think it's important, let the record show who said what. Because while Boxingego, I say stuff that ain't popular in real time. People give me flack in real time. They're like, oh, no, Ego doesn't know what he's talking about. What did Chama do? What do you think now? This is what I try to tell you. While y'all was being buttered up by Turki Alalshikh and he was selling you a dream, the Saudis, they were putting in and bankrolling a lot of events, and you guys and a lot of content creators, let the record show this. You guys were like, the Saudis have saved boxing. Oh my gosh, they're taking over boxing. This is great. And you were allowing people to tell you things that talk nice to me, right? And tell you these things, my intentions. Remember when Turkey first came in, the whole game was like, I'm going to bridge the gap. Boxing has been the Wild West, the Wild Wild West, the Wild Wild West, right? It's been this Wild Wild West, pure anarchy. And with the Saudis' money, we're going to come in and clean it up. This promoter A is going to work with promoter B amicably. The best is going to fight the best. And you guys bought it, right? You guys were like, yeah, I'm sold. Turkey's putting on the best events. SELA, oh my gosh. And little old me on my channel, and I got the videos and the breadcrumbs on the channel to reveal and prove that I was saying this stuff. But me, I had certain doubts. I'm like, first of all, no business is coming in any industry, dropping a whole bunch of money and losing it and being cool with it, right? There has to be a grandiose, bigger picture here, right? Nobody's like Crawford Madrimov. I told you that fight was a loss leader. You had to overpay Crawford. You probably had to pay Madrimov probably a career high. You had Eminem. Ayo, way before my baby daughter Haley, I was harassed daily by this fat kid named D'Angelo Bailey, an 8th grader who acted obnoxious because it's bothered boxers. Like, bro, you had Eminem performing. You know, the Eminem don't even come out the house for real. So to get Marshall, I'll show you Marshall, right? To get him to perform, it's gonna run you. And you had all this stuff, and you had the Showtime at the Apollo, Eminem show, and all this stuff. Cool. You for sure lost money. You had remember Crawford came out in an old classic car, Madrimov being drove out in a classic car. They had human billboards with these signs and all this stuff for Crawford and Madrimov. And I told you in real time, it is not a big fight like that, right? It's not bigger than Crawford and Canelo. It for sure wasn't bigger than Crawford versus Errol Spence. So what person, I don't care how much money you have, who's going to spend that type of money to lose it, right? But you guys bought it. Bringing fights to Saudi, doing this, working with Eddie Hearn, working with Frank Warren. And now fast forward to the future, now you are seeing the cracks. The windshield is starting to crack. You're starting to see a bigger play. Like, it's almost like a boxing match, right? Where somebody comes out super aggressive in the first round. That's nervous energy, and you got all this energy. As you settle in the fight, that stuff's going to calm down. And as you're getting punched by your opponent, right? So now I feel like we're at the part of the game where SELA, TKO, Turkey, they've been in the game long enough. So they're starting to settle down. And now they're pulling back on the money in certain departments. Like Turkey, remember he told Eddie Hearn in Boots, we only want the big fights. We're not a charity. I'm not paying for Boots versus Lima, a tune-up fight where he can move up to 154. This is what Turkey said. So you start to see a different attitude. Before, they were just throwing money at it for fights you know they were going to lose money on, but they were kind of just throwing money at it. Now it's making a whole lot more sense. What happened is this, and what they say, all's fair in love and war. I'm just telling you my personal opinion. Turkey came in, SELA came in with a vision, or maybe somewhere along the line the vision changed. I don't know. I don't know how that played out. But it appears to me that either they knew this was the ultimate goal or this became the goal. But either way, that's semantic. It don't really matter when it changed. Somewhere along the line, you got all these promoters, Oscar De La Hoya, Eddie Hearn, Queensberry Promotions, and Frank Warren. You were working with them, and you got them really accustomed to your money. Like, they thought they didn't have to do their job no more, right? Turkey became the financier, and he was throwing money at it. So Eddie Hearn, he get to kick up his feet and lamp a little bit. Frank Warren, man, I only had to burn through my own pockets because Tyson Fury and Ngannou, SELA's paying for it. Eddie Hearn's like, this fight and this fight, Better Biev and Bevo or whatever, they are paying for it. And what happened is the promoters got really reliant, those promoters. But notice PBC and Top Rank, the American outfits, they weren't really in the equation like Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn particularly. They would occasionally send some people, Carlos Adames, or send El Rayo at the time, or Pitbull Cruz, David Morrell. But they weren't making up the whole cards, right? And this is how it works. You get someone used to needing you. And I'm not even being funny, but a lot of DV situations start like this, where a guy who's manipulative and who has that type of a personality, he'll get the girl and then he'll separate her from her friends, separate her from her family, and get her really dependent on him. You know what I mean? Maybe he's like, let's not go to your family's house for Thanksgiving. Your friends are bad influence. You shouldn't hang out with them, right? So now she's isolated, right? Then what if the dude's like, you know what? I make enough money. You should quit your job. She quits her job. Now she has no identity outside of the relationship. Minimal family contact, minimal friend contact. Now she has no income of her own. So if the dude is like Ike Turner, on some crazy stuff. Now the girl is wholly and fully dependent on him, right? So now when the mask slips and the guy shows his true colors, the girl's in a super volatile and vulnerable position because she went up here and gave up everything for the relationship to cater to it. And then the dude flipped out and started showing more of who he really is. And now she's in a tight spot. That's kind of what I see here. Turki and SELA used Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren primarily, learned the business a bit, seen how they worked, right? Seen how they were operating. And then for whatever reason, kind of leapfrogged. Then you notice Turki was putting out comments like, I want to do a show in Alcatraz and we can leave the promoters at the island in the prison. This is not my opinion. Turki really said that. He said, we can leave the promoters on the island. That's when it was first announced that he was working with Dana White. When people tell you who they are, you got to believe them. Boom. Google. Saudi Arabia's General Chairman Turki jokingly suggested he might, quote, leave some promoters on Alcatraz Island. But now in hindsight, is it really a joke? Because now it looks like it's beef, right? Conor Benn was with Eddie Hearn for 10 years. 10 years. Eddie Hearn's British. Conor Benn is British. The world thought they had a good relationship and partnership and friendship. And surely if Conor Benn's contract ended, that he was going to re-sign with Eddie Hearn, like Anthony Joshua or whoever else, right? Remember, Joshua was like, I have a lifetime contract with Matchroom, meaning I'm going to finish my career with him. But guess what? Now Conor Benn's with Dana White. The whole boxing world was surprised, like, huh? Oh, he left Eddie? And Eddie's doing these melancholy videos. Oh, man, I'm absolutely gutted, mate. I'm devastated. You know what I mean? Now he devastated. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. Trust nobody. This is why you shouldn't get too comfortable. You know what I mean? And as far as the Frank Warren case, I don't know how it'll play out. I'm not a judge. I'm not the high court. And it's not my money. So it don't affect me. But it appears like some craziness is going on in boxing where the Saudis came in waving the money, making the promoters feel like, ultimately they could rely on that. And then now they turned off that faucet and then they got the Paramount deal and turned on the faucet for someone completely different. Now I'm starting to see, again, the chips in the windshield is looking like a big problem. And from what Frank Warren is saying, allegedly, Turki and them, SELA, had access to his books and got to understand the ropes and use that information and then probably took people over to Zuffa Boxing. You know what I mean? Like, it's a cold game, yo. It's a cold game, dog. They like really use you, seen how you were running shop, and then now they're replacing you. I mean, look, here's Boxing Scene. And I will link these in the description. I tried to tell y'all didn't want to believe Boxingego. I told you something is like, I don't know. Frank Warren in Queensberry to sue TKO and SELA for $1 billion. So it's being reported everywhere. The battle between boxing's old guard and the new kids on the block could be going legal. According to a report in the Telegraph, Frank Warren preparing a lawsuit concerned with the partnership of Saudi Arabia, SELA, and TKO, Zuffa Boxing, blah, blah, blah. So you got people, again, now the true color, the mask is officially slipped. Now you're seeing true colors. You have TKO and Zuffa. Remember, Dana White was like, man, we're going to take over. They're trying to monopolize the game, make amendments to the Muhammad Ali Act, right? Switch that all up, take people's fighters. Remember, Jai Opataya was with Eddie Hearn. Now he's with Zuffa. You have a guy like Conor Benn, which was shocking to some. He was with Eddie Hearn for 10 years. Now he with Zuffa, and he's like, hey, they're offering me 15, 20 mil reportedly. I couldn't pass that up. and then there's debates on if Eddie Hearn was given an opportunity to match it or not. And Frank Warren, another person that was reliant, he's had Tyson Fury this whole time, right? Did 2 Usyk fights. Everything was seemingly good with SELA and Frank Warren. Now Tyson Fury comes out of retirement and he's fighting on Netflix. Who's putting that on? Sounds a little bit shaky to me. Sounds shaky, baby. So was Tyson Fury instructed to quote unquote retire? So I don't know. I don't know his contract, but sometimes if you owe the label one more album or something, there might be a period where if you're inactive for 2 years, then you don't owe them anymore. I don't know. It depends on the contract. I'm not a lawyer. I haven't seen Tyson Fury's contract, but I do know of situations where certain loopholes do exist and people exploit them, right? So maybe Tyson Fury was told, hey, you lost 2 fights to Usyk, disappear for a while, and then come back, and then we'll holler at you. And then I don't even know if Tyson Fury is with Queensberry anymore. So how's that work? Before the Saudis got involved and TKO was formed and Dana White got into boxing, Frank Warren had Tyson Fury. Now all of a sudden, I haven't heard Frank Warren promote Tyson Fury versus that Game of Thrones looking dude on Netflix. So I don't know what went on there. Y'all tell me. But it is looking kind of suspect. Conor Ben, long time with Eddie Hearn. Now he not. Tyson Fury, I don't know. What was his situation? Because he was fighting on his own. How he fighting on Netflix now? And then now we're hearing lawsuits and whatnot. There's reports that other people like Shakur Stevenson are being looked at for Zuffa. So, yeah, man, I try to warn y'all. Y'all thought it was sweet. And it is partly these promoters' fault, too, because they thought the money was just going to be free-flowing like there wasn't a bigger picture for the Saudis. And they were just like, oh, my job's easy now. I just got to promote the show and I don't have to worry about losing my money. But see, like Boxingego, I can't speak for nobody else. For me, this is why I don't depend on people. Because, like, imagine if my channel was formed based on somebody else. That means somehow, some way, I have to rely on them. Every piece of equipment that I've ever bought on my channel came from my own blood, sweat, and tears. True story. Like this camera quality you see, that's me. Nobody bought anything. Nobody bought any mic for me. Nobody bought my camera. Nobody bought a tripod. Nobody bought these lights. It was me. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't change it for anything because for me, I like the freedom that allows me. When you rely on somebody, then you're kind of beholden to their rules and how they get down, and you don't really have a say. And the Saudis came in waving a bunch of money and doing this and that, and now it looked like they're trying to take your stuff. They're trying to take your people. They have signed cruiserweight Jayo Pataya and leading matchroom fighter, which I went in. The proposed $1 billion alleges SELA and TKO breached their contract. So the reported lawsuit that's coming states that I guess Frank Warren was somehow supposed to be involved, and then now it looks like they cut him out the deal. I mean, this is sinister stuff, but we hear about this type of stuff all the time in boxing and just in general. This is why you got to protect your own investment and watch who you shake hands with and how much you give, how much access you give people. I don't really run into these. I'm not like knock on wood. I don't really run into these because I don't rely on people. You hear all the time about pro athletes or actors or whatever, and they're paying an accountant, the CPA, and they thought the CPA was paying their bills, and then little they know the person was like embezzling money, and then now you owe all this back money or something. You're like, hey, I don't even have the money. And the person was stealing from you. You know what I mean? That's why you got to keep your circle small like a Cheerio. and know who you're dealing business with, and never like hand over everything unless you really trust a person. Cause like even if it's family members, family can do you bad. You know what I mean? A lot of people can do you bad. And what I'm noticing it, the people who initially were the closest with Turkey and kind of working on the shows, they're being like upended and their fighters are losing. And even Golden Boy, there were reports that Zuffa was one of the people looking at Virgil Ortiz. So who knows what's going on there too. Now that's just a little bit of speculation, but my thing is this. How are all of these promoters that heavily work with SELA in Turkey on a back-to-back, multiple fights per year, and he was like floating the money to them? How come they keep losing? Or like Eddie's losing Jai Opataya, he's losing Conor Benn. Conor Benn's his second biggest star next to Anthony Joshua, right? Like if Anthony Joshua from the Rec decided to retire, Conor Benn would be Eddie Hearn's biggest person that he has under contract. And then he lost Jai Opataya, an up-and-coming kind of name, and Conor Benn. And then now Oscar De La Hoya, who worked with them, the same people, Ryan Garcia and Virgil are his two biggest stars. So his number 2 star might coincidentally, he might lose him. Frank Warren, again, it's not confirmed, but I haven't heard him promoting the Netflix fight. So is Tyson Fury, who's probably Frank Warren's biggest fighter, is he even with Frank Warren anymore? You know what I mean? Who's putting on this Netflix? I mean, I'm sure I can do some research, but as of this video, I haven't seen. Now, I did some digging. Boom. If this information is accurate, it says the Tyson Fury and Makhmudov fight on April 11th is promoted by The Ring, owned by Turki Alalshikh and General Entertainment, and it will be streamed on Netflix. While Frank Warren remains Tyson Fury's promoter, The Ring magazine associated with is leading the promotion. Hey, bro, see, that's what I'm saying. And again, I don't know. If Frank Warren is in this. I was looking at the flyer. I don't see nothing about Queensberry promotion or nothing, right? It don't say nothing about Queensberry. And I didn't see Frank Warren, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but when they did the press conference, I didn't see Frank Warren. So it looked like he got like ganked for his fighter too, to be honest. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong. Look, right here they got the dude from The Ring. Where Frank Warren though? Oh, there he is. Okay, so there is Frank. He was at the press conference. So he at the press conference and suing him? I don't know. We'll see how it play out. So, correction, he was at the press conference. I ain't watching, so I didn't know he was there. But anyway, that don't change the lawsuit. So he's suing, and like I said, we'll see how it all play out. It is what it is, but a lot of fishy stuff going on right now, a lot of moving parts, and we'll see what the courts have to say. But it's ironic that a lot of fighters are looking like they're being recruited, if you will. And you guys were like, oh, Turkey saving boxing. And this is literally the opposite of what you guys were saying. You guys were telling me that the goal was to get all the promoters to work together, right? And the best versus the best. But now, as we now learn, there's other goals in mind. Like cut out the sanctioning bodies. Make it a monopoly like the UFC. So the WBC and the IBF and the WBO, WBA don't even matter anymore, right? Just get them out the way. Zuffa was like Dana White. He literally had an interview and they asked him, would he work with Dana White? Or Dana White, would you work with Oscar? And he was like, I never say never, but I hope I don't have to. And then he's making these videos talking about this is like taking candy from a baby. It's like I'm beating up babies. Literally Dana White quote. So this don't sound like the initial vision and the dream y'all sold me. You got a promoter in Dana White feeling himself. He just got into boxing and he talking about it's like beating up babies. That don't sound like promoters being united. And then you got lawsuits and fighters that are being like pilfered and taken to other promoters. And then Eddie Hearn's left like, oh, what happened? So it don't sound like nothing y'all was telling me about. But hey, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is what y'all wanted. And I try to tell y'all.
It's like beating up babies. I feel like I came in and I'm beating up babies. I expected more. I expected some pushback. I expected some
Boom. Like beating up babies. So this don't sound like unifying and uniting. It sounds like everybody for themselves. So it is what it is. That is the news. Let me know how I did and what you make of this, but it looks like another lawsuit coming to boxing. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We unpacked. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new, but even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate. So ultimately, we unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack.